Welcome viewers to the Race of the Day video here from round 3 of the EKS at Daytona Tamworth. This event is the biggest event in EKS history as we are seeing a monumental 77 drivers taking part in this event spread over 6 grids. For context, our biggest event to date was the 3 grids we ran at Buckle Park last year. You join us in this video for the first lightweight split one race of the day. This is all of the EKS's top lightweight drivers thrown in together, and Sheerman-Chase is starting on pole position. He finished 3rd in the senior championship last year, and he's starting on pole position for his first race back this year. He's starting on the front row of the grid alongside Luke Dodman, who's currently 2nd place in Tamworth's DMAX lightweight super champs. Hassan Zafar is the reigning British indoor karting champion in the heavyweight class. He's starting in P3 alongside Barry Lakes, who won our last event at Warden Law, whilst Freddie Winskell impressed on his debut last time out at Warden Law. He's starting in P5 alongside the reigning Milton Keynes DMAX lightweight super champs champion James King. Hassan is our reigning senior champion, and he is starting in at P7. He also won this event this time last year, whilst Callum Bendelow got his first ever podium in the EKS last time out at Sandown Park, and he's starting with Carlos on row 4. Luke and Nick won our last Southern round at Sandown. He's starting in P9 alongside the 4-time senior Rotex champion Tom Shipman, whilst Matthew Clark impressed on his debut last time out at Warden Law as he finished in P3. He's starting this race from 11th position.
So the field make their way in to turn 11. 2 local boys on the front row, Sheerman-Chase and Luke Dodman sharing it as they go into the first corner. We're keeping an eye on Hassan Zafar as well on the 2nd row of the grid. Barry Lakes alongside him. To turn 12 they go. They'll keep their eyes on the digital board, which will go green to signify the start of this race. It is lights out and away we go, and a good start for Sheerman-Chase on the inside line, who holds on to the lead of the race. Luke Dodman slots into 2nd position. Hassan Zafar making a little bit of a mistake, allows James King around the outside into turn 3. He's onto the curb. This will be really tricky for him, and there's a bit of a tangle between the 2 of them. Forces James King onto the grass and onto the left hand side, and most crucially into last position. Luke and Nick has just been overtaken by Matthew Clark as well, so that's not ideal for his chances. Is Brave back on the brakes into turn number 5 to try and get himself back ahead of Matthew Clark, and does, as Hassan Zafar is about to be overtaken by Callum Bendelow, and but is back on the inside into turn 7, slightly off camber this left-hander, and Hassan Zafar has no issues fighting off that Callum Bendelow attack. But as we get towards the end of the first lap of this race, it is Luke Dodman who leads ahead of Sheerman-Chase. Barry Lakes into an impressive 3rd position. Carlos Armanis just had a little bit of a look at Freddie Winskell, but actually wasn't quite able to make a way through, and now Tom Shipman is all over Carlos.
Yeah, so it's Luke Dodman into the lead of the race. He got through on Sheerman-Chase just as they came into the drone shot as he headed into turn number 4 on lap 1. So it is Luke Dodman, like you say, in the lead of the race ahead of Sheerman-Chase. He's got Barry Lakes on his DMAX debut running all the way up in P3. That's very impressive stuff. Hassan Zafar also on his DMAX debut running up in 4th position. Tom Shipman, meanwhile, has been running on board with him. He's just got on the inside of Carlos Armanis in the battle for 7th place. But Carlos Armanis, what a cutback that was. He got him straight back up the inside. It's a great move and battle that is between the 2 of them. And like I was saying, it's Callum Bendelow now running in P5 on the back bumper of Hassan Zafar. Freddie Winskell on his DMAX debut running in P6. Then you've got Carlos Armanis in P7. You've got Tom Shipman on his DMAX debut running in P8. And it's Luke and Nick running in P9 ahead of James King. James King had that tangle on lap 1 with Hassan Zafar going through turn number 3. If you ask me, I think that was in some way James King's fault for not leaving Hassan Zafar enough room on the inside of turn number 3. And unfortunately, James went off onto the grass as a result. So he's down to P10, and it is Matthew Clark who's currently in 11th position.
Absolutely, racetrack to agree with that. So he must know his stuff as James King looks at Luke and Nick trying to find a way through into turn 3. He's got a bit of a run here actually, and might be able to kick-start this comeback drive. Luke has gone a little bit wide. James goes on the inside line, is trying to squeeze his way through, and does exactly that as we've got a battle for the lead of the race as Sheerman-Chase on the outside into turn 6, but Luke Dodman knows where to place his kart around Daytona Tamworth. Remember, has raced at Daytona Tamworth for many years, and Sheerman-Chase attack is thwarted. James back on the inside line. What a move that is. Very brave on the brakes to get ahead of Tom Shipman. Luke and Nick tries his hand at getting ahead of Tom, but isn't quite able to do so. And Tom Shipman slots back into position.
That's great moves there by James King. Got past 2 drivers in the space of a few corners. So he's gone from 10th place and he's all the way back up to 8th now. It's a great recovery drive. As that's Hassan Zafar there. He's been overtaken by Callum Mendelow going for the final corner. And now Freddie Winskell. He's coming through and now he's up into 5th place. And as we can see from James King's on board, Carlos Onmanis is alongside him too. As they head down into turn number 3, is Carlos going to back out of that move? Yes, he is, but he might get the run on him here. As they head down to turn number 4, Carlos keeping his nose in. He knows you can overtake very easily into turn number 4. It's one of the easiest places to overtake in the EKS, and he has managed to do that indeed. So Carlos Onmanis, he is through, and Hassan Zafar, and now James King, as he's coming back through the field, he's going around the outside of Hassan Zafar easy. Hassan was stuck up the inside of Carlos Onmanis there, but he's been overtaken once more. Great move that is by James King around the outside, and now Tom Shipman is on the inside, as it's Luke and Nick. So Luke and Nick did a double overtake there into turn number 6. Great move that was by Luca. You can see the opportunity went up the inside of Tom Shipman, and in turn went up the inside of Hassan Zafar. So Hassan Zafar now, he's dropped all the way down to, I think that is P8 if I'm keeping count correctly, and it's Tom Shipman, I believe, now running in 9th position. But as they come across the start finish line once more, Luke Dodman has pulled a 0.6 second lead over Jamie Sheerman-Chase. In fact, made that 0.8 seconds as the timing tower updates, and it's Barry Lakes who is in a very solid P3 at the moment.
James King is looking to attack Carlos Onmanis, has scratched that. Hassan Zafar looking to attack Luke and Nick as he goes down the inside line into turn 4. Strongest overtaking opportunity on the track, does exactly that, plants his car on the inside heading into 5, and it gives Luke and Nick an opportunity actually to maybe go around the outside into turn 6. Looks for the switchback, Zafar goes a little bit deep, Luke and Nick catches the slide perfectly and finds his way through. James King trying to muscle his way through on Freddie Winskell at the same time as they go into turn 8, into turn 9. James on the outside line, can't find a way through there. Into turn 10 is going to take the dive, and there goes James King on the inside line. Has been doing a lot of stuff at Daytona Tamworth recently and is applying that perfectly here. Hassan Zafar still battling along with Luke and Nick, but this time is just about able to get through into the final hairpin. However, look at that train on the drone shot. Luke and Nick isn't done yet. He's going to try and get alongside into the second corner, but again the track just thins out a little bit there. This might give Tom Shipman an opportunity, but again I think he's gone a little bit too deep, and Matthew Clark actually goes down the inside line. We'll look for a second. He realises just how sharp the brakes are on these DMAXs.
Yeah, so both Hassan Zafar and James King made identical moves then going into turn 10 on that previous lap, and both made their way through on the drivers who were in front of them. You can see on board with Tom Shipman, he's actually in last position at the moment, and Matthew Clark is on the inside of Luca and Nick. Now can Tom Shipman get the cut back on him here? No, he cannot. So these two, they're in 10th and 11th position. It's Hassan in 8th and it's Luca and Nick in 9th position. He's heading through the final sector once more. We've got halfway through the race, we've got 6 minutes to go.
Through then, and what an entertaining race it's been so far, but that battle at the top hasn't quite materialised just yet. There's 5 tenths of a second between Luke Dodman and Jamie Sheerman-Chase, but it is coming down. If Jamie can, in the second half of the race, get that down to about 3 tenths of a second, then he might have an opportunity to get his way back through. Luke and Nick still hassling Hassan Zafar here, but again, just onto the curb out on the exit at turn 3 doesn't give you too much momentum. That's going to allow Hassan to stay relatively calm for the time being. We're taking a little bit of stock then, as Barry Lakes is still in 3rd position, but Callum Mendelow catching him ever so slightly. It's about 1.5 seconds the gap between those two drivers. Callum, by the way, that driver behind him is going to be catching him as well. I believe it was Carlos Onmanis across the line. Luke and Nick then still looking at Hassan Zafar. He's not a million miles behind into turn 9. Really looking to have a go here into number 10. Again, just looking to get that exit. Hassan Zafar goes a little bit wide, catches a bit of oversteer as there goes Tom Shipman on the inside line of Matthew Clark as Matthew goes all the way to the outside. Easy mistake to make onto the grass on the exit of turn number 10 and just didn't set him up nicely for turn 11, Luke.
Yeah, it's a really easy mistake there from Matthew Clark. Just coming out of turn 10, got on the power a little bit too early, just got understeer as a result coming out of the corner and went off on to the grass. He's now dropped back down to 11th position as a result. But it is Luke Dodman now in the lead of the race. Luke Dodman is one of the championship contenders here at Daytona Tamworth in their DMAX Super Champ, so he knows this track very well, been racing here for many years. Him and Jamie Sheerman-Chase actually finished on the overall podium here in the EKS in 2023. So these two have both been racing in the series for a very long time. Both have a lot of track knowledge. Jamie Sheerman-Chase is track local as well. And it's Barry Lakes, as we say, running in P3 at the moment, doing an incredible job here on his DMAX debut. He impressed immensely last time out at Warren Law in 4-stroke karts in the wet. This is a very different round compared to Warren Law, but he's showing that his talent has transferred over well to these cars and these conditions. He's running in P3, and Callum Bender, the driver who's done more rounds of the EKS than anyone else. He's raced in all of our Tamworth rounds, historically speaking. He's putting his track knowledge to good use, and he's currently running up in P4. As you see all the drivers flying through shot here with the immensely fast turn 3. They're going through shot there at 58 miles per hour. This is absolutely the fastest hire kart track in the country. These are very much the fastest hire karts in the country too, so they go through that corner at a heck of a rate of knots.
Yeah, absolutely, and well, Callum Bender seems to be catching still on Barry Lakes. 1.1 seconds the gap as they cross the line. It's shaping up to be the race of the day so far here in the EKS to Daytona Tamworth, and well, keeping our eyes again on Jamie Sheerman-Chase and Luke Dodman, because they're getting ever closer each time they cross the line. This time it's staying at 4 tenths per second, might update to say slightly less, 5 tenths actually, so Dodman clawed back about a tenth of a second on that previous lap. Let's go back on board with Luke and Nick, because he's got a bit of a run on Hassan Zafar, who is going to get a little bit loaded into turn 3. That might give Luca the opportunity to go down the inside into turn number 4, and it will do as here goes Luca. He's got to go for the lunge on the brakes. Zafar goes all the way onto the curb on the left-hand side, and Luca knows that he probably didn't give him the room to stay on the circuit there. It was a bit of a mistake from Zafar. Might give Nick an opportunity into turn number 6, but again, Hassan Zafar is just able to stay where he is. And Luke and Nick, however, looking very good to take this lead. I want to go back to the battle for the lead, because Jamie Sheerman-Chase has really cut up this time by and almost went for a move into turn 12. You can see from the drone shot, and they will be side by side. I think Jamie had to wave Luke Dodman back through for a second there. Barry Lakes is catching up to our race leaders now, so into the final 2 minutes of this one, we are going to have a battle on our hands.
Yeah, that's a great move there by Jamie Sheerman-Chase into the final corner, but I think he may have bogged coming out of the corner, which is why Luke Dodman managed to keep the lead. And like you say, that has allowed Barry Lakes right into the battle for the lead. This is now a three-way fight for the victory, so Barry Lakes will be very happy with this. This will be an incredible drive by Barry Lakes if he manages to win this race on his first ever time racing in a 2-stroke kart. So this is incredible stuff by him. You say Callum Bender is just behind him as well, so he can get in on the action too at this rate. And as you say, Luke and Nick is still on the back bumper of Hassan Zafar as they head into the final sector here at Daytona Tamworth. These two are in the battle for 8th position. You can see Freddie Winscombe just in front as well. You can see from this drone shot here, look at that, Barry Lakes, he is on the back bumper of Jamie Sheerman-Chase. He looks over his shoulder and goes, oh blimey, I didn't realise he was there. So he's doing a very good job here, Barry Lakes, as three fight for the lead here as what is, I believe, the start of the penultimate lap.
Very flattering, Luke, as into turn 4 they go, and Barry Lakes is still hassling Jamie Sheerman-Chase through turn 5. This actually plays into the hands of Luke Dodman as well, who knows that while Barry Lakes is there, Jamie Sheerman-Chase can't really commit to the move, and here goes Barry, almost got a bit of an overlap into turn 6. Into number 7 they go, and once again they're about equidistant between Luke Dodman, Jamie Sheerman-Chase and Barry Lakes. Callum Bender behind is just being hassled a bit himself by Carlos Almanis. So through turn 10, looks like actually Carlos Almanis is going to go for the inside line on Callum Bender. They'll stay side by side. Bender holds it on the outside, a little bit of a love tap as well, just to say, no Carlos, you're not going through quite hit, as actually I think they're going to catch up to the leaders as well. So we could have into what I believe will be the final lap of the race. As you can see, the last lap board is on the board. A very, very interesting finale. Jamie Sheerman-Chase second to Luke Dodman at the moment. Into turn 4, Barry Lakes hasn't quite been able to find a way through either. Luke and Nick, by the way, his battle with Hassan Zafar isn't over just yet either. They make their way into turn 4, and Luca actually looks to the outside very briefly. We'll keep an eye on that, but focus on our leaders for now, as this is the battle for the win. After all, Luke Dodman has managed superbly so far throughout this race. He's putting himself into position to possibly challenge for the round here, as Luke and Nick still in the background fighting with Hassan Zafar very, very briefly side by side, but not able to commit to a move. Final corner for Luke Dodman to take his first victory back in the EKS. What a performance, what a drive to hold off Jamie Sheerman-Chase for that long. Sheerman-Chase will be in second position as Luke and Nick still tries to get himself alongside with Hassan Zafar out of the final corner, but ultimately his efforts are in vain. that is the end of the race. What a race here at Daytona Tamworth. Luke Dodman, your victor. Jamie Sheerman-Chase in second place. Barry Lakes finishes in third. Callum Bendelo and Carlos Armanis, the rest of your top 5.
What a race that was then, as Luke Dodman ended up coming home in the lead ahead of Jamie Sheerman-Chase by just over half a second. Jamie made that move towards the end of the race, wasn't able to make a stick though. He had to settle for P2 in the end, and Barry Lakes did an incredible job on his DMAX debut to finish in P3, only a second off the win. Callum Bendelo impressed to finish up in at P4. That's his best ever result here at Daytona Tamworth. He just about beat Carlos Armanis to 4th position, and it's James King who ended up recovering to P6 after that off on lap 1. Freddie Winscoll impressed on his DMAX debut to finish in P7, whilst Hassan Zafar got unlucky after having that spin at the final corner earlier on in the race. He ended up finishing in P8, just ahead of Lukinik, whilst Tom Shipman came home in 10th position, only 8.6 seconds off the win. That is one of the closest top 10s in EKS history. Matthew Clark had a race to forget about after having that off towards the end of the race. He ended up coming home in P11, and the only penalty to note in that race was a bumping warning for James King, which has cost him a point in the overall results. We can now hear from our top 2, who are with our 2023 heavyweight champion Matthew Bolton, who's down at the podium.
We're joined by Jamie Sheerman-Chase and Luke Dodman, our race winner, and very close second place. Boys, how was that?
It was good. I was hoping to get away, but he just kept me honest, and I had to literally push like hell to keep it in the lead. Really, it was a good race.
Yeah, it was all right. I previously said to Luke before we went into the race, obviously with both being locals, we know each other. I said to him, I don't really mind if you overtake me. If you got the pace, we'll just go. I tried a few moves, and then P3 was right behind me, so I decided to stop there and keep P2 and rather be happy in P2 than further down the grid maybe.
Yeah, I mean, these two certainly had quite the pace out there. It was ridiculous, but you didn't quite pull away from third. Were you nervous? Did you think you might lose second place at any point?
No, not really. As I said, we had a massive gap, and I tried a few moves. That's when obviously he closed up, and by then it was 1 lap left, so I just parked the bus and I wasn't worried to go. No.
Well, that is the confidence of a winner. I look forward to seeing you two battle it out later on today. Good luck. We'll see you out there. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.